Alright, so in the previous video, I talked about the movie Lincoln, and I just ran out of time and I can't record over 15 minutes anymore, so, anyway, basically, I just went through and I just typed in Lincoln and I kind of looked through some of the stuff that would have to do with Lincoln, you know, so you have Lincoln, Nebraska. There's also a Lincoln, England. I thought it was kind of interesting. Since I've been talking about Queen Elizabeth II so much, that's why it just interested me there was a Lincoln, England. And as I'm reading here, a major landmark is the Lincoln Cathedral. And this building, it even says it was reputedly the tallest building in the world for 238 years. 238, that was the Roanoke shooting and all that. But as I was scrolling down here, just reading about it a little bit, you find out, well, it was built in the year 1088. It says whatever up here, 1088, which I think is 927 years ago. So that would be the last day that Pope Francis is in the United States, 927. But also, it says that it was destroyed by a fire or whatever. It was finished on 1092, and then the guy who built it died on May 9th of that year, 2 days before it was consecrated. And then it said it was rebuilt and expanded, but mostly destroyed by an earthquake about 40 years later in 1185. Dated by the BGS as occurring April 15th, 1185. So, talked about the 85 like crazy. So it was in the year 85 that it was destroyed by an earthquake. Just so happened to be the same day that Abraham Lincoln died as well. And I actually just discovered that, so I'm going to move on, but pretty interesting that we've talked about earthquake and the Abe Lincoln stuff, and then this building is called the Lincoln Cathedral. Just craziness. And it was destroyed by an earthquake on the same day Abraham Lincoln died. Come on. Weird. In that same town, they had the University of Lincoln, and it says its origins trace back to 1861, the same year that the Civil War began. I mean, it even talks about the 21st century, so yeah, the 21 and the 12 I talked about with Abe Lincoln, which actually I thought about it. I don't know how I never thought about this when I was talking about it, but he was born on 2/12, literally 212, that's 21 and 12, like, put together, so I'm guaranteed that's why they're doing it. But it even says it was changed its name to Lincoln, blah, 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 and then opened by Queen Elizabeth II. The university's main campus in Lincoln was the first new city center campus to be built in the UK for decades. So, thought that was interesting. Like I said, I was just scrolling down through some of these Lincolns to see if any of them really stood out. I mean, see, look at the movies. There's not really anything that in particular or whatever. There is a 1988 miniseries that I never looked into, but 87th day. But anyway, as you're scrolling down here, I mean, look, Argentina, Australia, there's not even that many Lincolns in other countries even. There's a ton in the United States, even a Lincoln, Pennsylvania. But, I mean, if that's all the countries that there's a Lincoln in, that's pretty weird. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to mean anything, but the Pope Francis, is from Buenos Aires, Argentina. So interesting, there's a Lincoln. A Lincoln is a city in Buenos Aires. The coordinates, 34 and 61. 34 even adds up to 61. It's crazy. I'm going to go back here. Like I said, I don't know, none of them stick out just because it doesn't really tie into what I've been talking about with the Pope. I mean, he's not from Australia or anything like that. So, whatever, there's all these towns. I didn't even know there's a Lincoln, Iowa. Who knows? Sorry for rambling. It's probably, it's a ways from where I live, so. Anyway, let's go down here farther. There's the Lincoln Tunnel and the Lincoln Highway. The Lincoln Tunnel, it says it opened on these days. The South Tube even opened 58 years ago. But look how much it cost to make it. The cost of construction was $85 million. So, strange. Talked about the 85s. Cost $85 to make. The Lincoln Highway. It's weird because I actually used to live right on this highway. Like I said, in the town I lived by, that's 10 minutes away from here, I lived right on the Lincoln Highway. It's an old brick road. That's the main street. So I just found that interesting, I guess. But this highway or whatever it starts in Times Square and it ends in San Francisco in Lincoln Park. And we've talked about San Francisco like crazy with the 122. Pope Francis is 122. Golden State 122. Tons of 122. Trainwreck 122. San Francisco's even on the 122 West. The Synagogue of Satan, or the Church of Satan, was founded in San Francisco even, I think in 1966 even, 49 years ago. 49ers, blah, blah, blah. I mean, yeah. But it also says Lincoln Park was created in 1909, which is 106 years ago. We've talked about the 106 a ton of times in previous videos and whatnot. It's on the Philadelphia train wreck. It was going 106 miles an hour. That had the 601 on it. Even the 110th prime is 601, which the 110 seems like it goes with destruction. So, but anyway, I'm gonna move on here. Just kind of going through these really fast. There could be more. I didn't really look that in depth, but even says Avro Lincoln, an RAF bomber that first flew in 1943. But I mean, just look at it. So it talks about the development of it. It having stronger, built to the air ministry, whatever, having stronger, longer span, high aspect ratio, wings with two-stage supercharged Rolls-Royce Merlin, 85 engines, and a bigger fuselage, or however you say that, whatever. 85 engines, like, what? I mean, crazy. So, I mean, I don't even know why I'm even surprised when I find it. It's just crazy to me. Let's see here. Yeah, the Lincoln motor car or whatever. I've talked about Henry Ford before, and stuff like that, so I'm not even going to go into that. I also was just thinking Lincoln Town Car. Seems like they always have Lincoln Town Cars in gangster movies. Then you got like Straight Outta Compton that just came out, and who knows? I mean, that could just be me thinking that, but it just always seems like the gangbangers in movies always have a Lincoln Town Car. But let's see. I didn't even know. It says Lincoln Amtrak Station. Who knows? Never even heard of it. But it's new, I guess, from 2012. 626, but not really a whole lot here even to read about. So I want to talk about the Lincoln Memorial too. And as I'm sitting here thinking, I've been seeing, I mean, I've seen it a lot, and I always wondered about it, the 1923, and I always wondered because it has 923 in it, if there's something to do with that. But as I'm sitting here thinking about it, Abraham Lincoln died 58 years. 1923 was 58 years after his death in 1865, where he was 56, the mirrors. But anyway, the Lincoln Memorial, it talks about the size of it somewhere here. It's not actually the size of the Lincoln Memorial that I'm thinking of. It's the size of the statue that's at the Lincoln Memorial right here. So it talks about this statue, and it even says, let's see, rises 30 feet from the floor, including the 19-foot, 5.8 meter seated figure with armchair and footrest upon an 11-foot, 3.4 meter high pedestal. So, I mean, crazy they would even write that in there. And I feel like they changed this since I looked at it the other day, but it says, so the guy is 19 foot or whatever, 5.8 meters, and then he's seated on this thing that's 3.4 or whatever. But I swear there was something that said if he was standing up, it would have been 28 feet, which is 8.5 meters. So maybe it's just in a different spot or something. Or never mind, I see it right here. So right by this picture, 19 feet. Scaled if he would be 28 feet tall if he was standing, which is 8.5 meters. Anyway, I'm just going to end it right here. I want to show one more thing. and then I'm going to move on to talk about the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And I don't know, but we'll talk about some maybe nuclear stuff, maybe a nuclear attack or something. I don't know. But anyway, I'll explain it in the next video. But I remember this show for whatever reason on it was on ABC Family, I think. Yeah, it was on ABC Family. And I remember even watching like a lot of the episodes, but I just thought I'd look it up, and of course, it had 43 episodes. I was like, go figure. And even the 43rd episode was even on November 9th of 2009. So 11/9 of '09 or 9/11/9. But I just talked about that in the last video because the movie called Lincoln that came out in 2012 came out on this day as well. And it even talks about this bully that's bullying the girl or whatever. When the bully once again makes racist comments, he and Andrew get into a fight. The principal cancels the play to prevent another race riot. So there was a race riot in the show. Like there was race riots before. I mean, obviously there was before 2009, but interesting, I guess. To prevent another race riot. Then she finds a way to resume the play, stop the race riots, and teaches the bully a lesson. So I just found that interesting that race riots was involved in this TV show even. So it just seems like it's really been a big built-up thing in the last year. But yep, who knows? See you in the next video. Have a good night.